Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video, as you can probably tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about the fact that Heidi has recently been diagnosed with a dairy allergy, and I fully intended to talk about this in her 7-month update, which is the video I was about to film, but I was looking on the notes on my phone on things to talk about in that video, and there's already so much to talk about that I felt like going into the dairy allergy there would just make it like a 30-minute video, and I know that nobody really wants to sit through that, especially with so much else going on, that I kind of like to just whiz through everything. So I thought I'd do this as a separate video. So I'm probably going to be wearing the same clothes in my next video, but I just wanted to talk about this separately because there's a few symptoms I wanted to share with you that if you have concerns, I never would have guessed that she had a dairy allergy until I went to doctors, and I basically put all of these different symptoms that I didn't realise are related to him, and he was like, she's allergic to dairy and we're gonna have to move her away from that. So it kind of all started, or the reason why I decided to eventually go to the doctors was that we went away with Rich's family when she was about 6.5 months old, and we went to Paynton Zoo, which was so much fun. And throughout that day she slept quite a lot, like unusually a lot, but we just thought maybe, you know, she's been a little bit tired, she was sleeping. We stayed there for a couple of nights, so she's obviously sleeping in somewhere that she's not used to, and I think that she just didn't sleep as much in the night, so we didn't really think anything of it. And when she was awake, she was really straining to go to the toilet, and more so than ever before, she was straining so much that she really looked in pain, and she was basically straining all day. She pooped 3 different times, but her poops were really hard and proper human poo, but it was just really hard for her, and they were kind of big, and it was just, she was just obviously very uncomfortable doing that, because prior to that, obviously we started weaning her at 6 months, so prior to that, obviously, all of her poops were very kind of liquidy and just milk based, whereas now they had solid food within them. So we kind of thought it was to do with that, but you know, to see her go through that much pain, strain so much to the point that she is in so much pain, and she pooped 3 times, but you could basically tell it was the same poop 3 times. So sorry, it's too much information, but I just wanted to make sure that I relay everything that happened. So that made me think, you know what, when we get back home, I'm gonna just make her an appointment for the doctors. I just thought, let's get her some laxatives, because she has been constipated before, but never to that extent. So that was almost like the cherry on top, where she's been constipated before, but I've been able to help her with prunes and things like that the doctor recommended. So we had been doing that. Prunes definitely help, but when you're away from home, I think obviously you don't have the arsenal of products that you have at home to normally help. So we went to the doctors and I explained all of that, and I just said there's been different times where she's been a little bit constipated, but I've been able to kind of help it along, but this time just made me think that I needed to come to the doctor. So we spoke about that, and then I just said in passing to him, actually, whilst I'm here, could I get another prescription of her steroid cream for her face? The steroid cream is the only thing that will work. So I've tried, you know, creams you can buy, like E45 cream, all things like that, nothing touches it except for this specific cream. And he said, well, you know, is her eczema that bad? I said, well, yeah, it's the only thing that helps what's inflamed, and her face goes very red and almost slightly kind of bubbly. And we went to doctors before and they had a look at it and said it was eczema, so I just needed some more of the cream. And he said, that's not eczema, that's an allergic reaction. And I was just like, what? Considering she's had this, what we thought eczema, on her face since she was probably about 10 weeks old, but from then on, we went to the doctors the first time at 17 weeks, which is when we were told that she had eczema, and we've been using this cream, and there seemed to be no rhythm with it kind of being inflamed and not. But now it makes sense, because obviously overnight it would get really bad and then wake up, and I used to think it's not too hot in her room. We thought maybe she was scratching her face and just I don't know, chewing on her hand and then putting saliva onto her face. Like, we just didn't know what was causing it, and even the doctors didn't really, but they basically said, oh, it's so common to get baby eczema, so here's some cream, but it basically isn't that. So I was kind of annoyed, but then you just think, on appearance, it probably does look like eczema. So he said that that on her face was an allergic reaction. So paired with the constipation, he said that we'll try dairy-free and we'll see how she gets on and decide whether or not we need to stick to that route or whether it's something else. I also mentioned as well, which I thought was to do with teething, was that she had very colic-like symptoms where she would be sick a lot more. If we'd give her a bottle, she'd obviously throw it up. And in retrospect, that is actually related to having a dairy intolerance. So basically when they have a dairy intolerance, it's to do with the cow's milk protein, I think he said, and her body attacks that thinking it's like a foreign substance. And so we've moved completely away from cow and gate formula, which is what she was on before, and she was absolutely fine on it to start with, but she was also, like, she had this eczema on her face even whilst I was exclusively pumping. But that's obviously because I ate dairy. I eat a lot of cheese and I drink a lot of milk-based things too. So it makes sense that it is related to dairy, and I'm pleased that it wasn't applicable when she had breast milk, but it was when she had formula, because I feel like that would have knocked me back quite a lot. So with that, we've been prescribed dairy-free formula. The one that we're currently using is Aptamil, and this is the Pepti-1 food for special medical purposes. So I spoke to the doctor this morning, which is why I wanted to film this video today as well, whilst it's still fresh in my mind, and we decided what we're going to do kind of going forward. So she's been prescribed with this initially, but she's going to move on to the Pepti-2 because she's over 6 months old. He didn't realise that, so we was on Pepti-1, but because it's working, he's moving us on to Pepti-2. That just obviously goes by, it's like normal formula where you start off with one from birth and then you start one from 6 months onwards because it has more iron in it. But the doctor basically said that because we've seen such a difference in her since we started this, so her skin has completely gone down, and if anyone had ever met Heidi or has watched all of my videos kind of leading up to this point, you'll know that her eczema got really bad, and especially for people that kind of met up with us, it got so bad at some points that it would almost look like painful to the touch, and she would scratch it all the time, and you could tell that it caused her distress, which was horrible. And because we thought it was eczema, all we were doing was applying creams to it, and it just wasn't touching it, which is kind of pleasing that we have finally found out why and what's causing it. But I feel like it's a couple months too late really, but at least we're kind of the other side of it. So her skin now has completely gone down. She sometimes gets flushed cheeks because of teething, but not even close to what she used to be on. So that's kind of what I told the doctor this morning, and I just said, like, her skin has cleared up. It's crazy how much of a transformation it made when we first moved over to this. So when we first tried giving her this formula, she did not want to take it at all. She really didn't want to. And it's such a different consistency to Cow and Gate and basically normal formula, and obviously it's different, it tastes different, it's not her usual comfort. So she eventually took it. It did take a couple of days to basically transition onto it, but we got there eventually. Her pooping as well has completely changed, and I think that even if you have concerns about your baby possibly being constipated or thinking their poops really shouldn't look like this, not this early on, like, because it was 6.5 months, I knew that there'd be changes in her poops, what with weaning, like that's to be expected, but I didn't expect them to change so dramatically as they did, and obviously that shouldn't have happened. So like, if you have any concerns, just go to your doctor or speak to a health visitor or someone, because I should have definitely have gone to doctor sooner. But like, that was a final straw for me. I was like, I need to just get her checked out and make sure everything's okay. So her poops now are completely normal. They're worse than they used to be, but in terms of her passing them, so much easier. And again, just seeing how much better she feels once she poops is just, I'm so pleased that we found the solution to the problem basically. So I spoke to Dr. Tay, explained that everything has changed dramatically and for the better. And so the plan of action, she's just turned 7 months yesterday, which is why I was coming to film her 7-month update. And the plan of action is, now she's 7 months and then she'll be, say, a year in a couple months time. So he said basically continue the dairy-free route from now until 12 months, so completely stay away from cow's milk, eggs, things like that, and that includes formula and weaning as well, obviously. And then at a year we'll try and reintroduce, because obviously quite a lot of babies have a resistance to dairy because their body just fights it. It's just like a biological thing, but so many babies develop it but basically grow out of it. So that is what we're going to do. So when she turns 12 months, we're going to try and introduce like full fat yogurt or a bit of cheese, and then see how she's affected by it, and then we can basically take baby steps in trying to get her back into dairy. But for now we're sticking well away. Luckily, obviously, her allergy isn't to the point where she can't breathe, it doesn't close up her throat or anything like that. So when we reintroduce it later on, then hopefully if she is still allergic to it or she still has an intolerance, then we'll know what to look out for, but it's not life-threatening, which is really good. But it's been a crazy couple of weeks, basically trying to find out what's been wrong and going to doctors. I mean, anytime you go to doctors with your baby is horrible, and I'm just pleased that we've finally found the source of the problem. So we're using this, and we're going to continue using this until she's a year old, and we're going to obviously make sure all of her weaning is dairy free and stuff like that. So yeah, any dairy free weaning pages or anything like that, or people that you watch, if your baby is also dairy intolerant, then let me know, because I definitely need some inspo on like meal ideas and stuff like that, because so many baby products have milk in them. I found a load of different ones that don't, and we've been using like pouches and finger food and stuff like that. I've been making my own purees to make sure that there's no added milk, so fresh veg and kind of pureeing it down, stuff like that. So we're making it work, but I just want to make sure there's a huge kind of diversity of different flavours and different textures and things like that that we are introducing to Heidi as we would if she didn't have this intolerance. So yeah, it's been a crazy month. Honestly, it's been so crazy. That's why I didn't want to pack all of this into her 7-month update, because already I feel like I've been talking forever. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a bit of a like health update, because I was kind of ambiguous in my last video, but we didn't really know the extent of it, and I didn't want to say that she was allergic to dairy and it turned out that she wasn't, and this didn't work. So I'm pleased that it is working. Obviously, we now get this on prescription, so we don't have to pay for formula, which is the only silver lining. But obviously, we'd much rather her not have the allergy. But just seeing how much better she is now makes it worth it, and I'm almost certain that she will come out the other side, and when we reintroduce dairy slowly, I think that she'll be fine. But it's just good to know that she's no longer in pain when she poops, and her skin has just like gone back to normal. It's so nice to have like smooth baby skin on her face again, because it's not been like that for so long, which is heartbreaking. And I kind of wished that they had found this out so much earlier, because you can just tell, especially when we've had the hotter nights, that her skin has just become so painful. But thankfully we're kind of good, and she's so much better, and we've seen such a difference in herself when she's not teething. She's just so much happier and just more content in herself, because she's obviously not feeling any pain. If her stomach used to hurt her, she used to get quite bloated as well, which is funny because I used to have like a sensitivity to dairy, definitely not an allergy, but I would bloat quite a lot if I had dairy. So yeah, I'm pleased that we've found the source. I just wanted to sit down and film this in one video, because I think it's just a bit easier than talking about everything and anything and skipping over points. And hopefully this helps people if you are suspecting that your baby might have a dairy intolerance, or they do, because I was like, what on earth do I do now, especially when it came to like food and weaning. But there's so many options, there's so many like vegan options, dairy-free options and stuff like that. So if you want like what my baby eats in a day kind of video style like that, if you want some dairy-free inspiration, let me know. I'm also looking for inspiration too, so send them my way. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you have. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with our journey together. And I'll see you guys in my next video.